Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to This Week in Renewables, Season 2, Episode 17. I hope you had a really great weekend. This is your bite-sized roundup of the renewable stories over the last 7 days. Wind, hydropower, solar, anything renewables I discuss. As per usual, I am your host, Mr. Deji Ogunshola, the voice you can trust. Please don't forget to do all the good stuff, the liking, commenting and sharing. It really does help with the visibility of this podcast. Available on all streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. We do not discriminate. Let's start off today with some hydropower news, as I'm always constantly getting accused by my hydro community that I seem to forget about them. It's just that the solar and wind markets are very, very busy at the moment. But today I'll start off with some hydropower news first. First story here is coming from overseas in Australia, Queensland, with a new pump hydro and green hydrogen project planned for Queensland. The renewable energy firm by the name of Sunshine Hydro has announced details of its plans to build a $2 billion pump hydro and green hydrogen project within the central Queensland renewable energy zone. It is called the Flavian. The Flavian project is expected to start generating from 2028, powering local industry with renewable energy and heavy trucks with green hydrogen to help decarbonise the Queensland economy. The project will apply Sunshine Hydro's closed-loop hydro model as part of the super hybrid to generate reliable green power and green hydrogen. It is located near Miriam Vale, for those who are familiar with the area, which has been described as having the ideal topography for the project. Land for the project has been already secured and planning has commenced with a final investment decision targeted by 2023. So good news coming by way of Australia. As per usual, keep up to date with This Week in Renewables for the latest news on that. More news on the hydropower side here, and GE Renewables, they are leading a consortium to upgrade the Itapu hydro plant in Brazil and Paraguay. As I said, the GE business, which is leading the consortium, will be responsible for the technological upgrade of the 14 gigawatt Itapu hydro plant on the Parana River between Brazil and Paraguay. GE Renewables Energy Hydro and Grid Solutions business have jointly signed a contract for the project, considered the largest technological upgrade of the hydropower plant since its inauguration back nearly 40 years ago. So more good news coming by way of Latam America. Some final news on the hydro side of things, and the LHDA, Lusitio Highlands Development Authority, has launched procurement activities for Programme Management Unit, PMU, for the management, oversight and reporting during implementation of Phase 2 of the Lusitio Highlands Water project. I know many of those in my hydro community will be familiar with this particular project, as I know these particular phases have been delayed over the last couple of years, so it's good to see that we are progressing well on this project with the announcement for procurement for the PMU unit. For those who are unfamiliar with this particular project, the Pulahali Dam to be constructed on the Lesotho under the LHWP Phase 2 will increase the volume of water transferred to South Africa from the current supply rate of 780 million cubic meters per annum, approximately to 1.2 million cubic meters per annum. So significant increase there. The dam itself is a CFRD dam, approximately 166 meters high. So lots of work here and infrastructure works associated with this particular project. So good news to see some sort of progression on this particular project in Lesotho, Africa. Moving on from some hydro news to some wind energy news, and some reports here that Europe invested 41 billion euros in new wind farms in 2021. although this was 11% less than 2020. This is according to Wind Europe's annual finance and investment trend report, which was released last week. However, the investments cover 24.6 gigawatts, which is recorded for new capacity finance in a single year. The report has said most of the wind farms financed were onshore, interestingly, 19.8 gigawatts, which partly explains why the amounts invested were down compared to 2020, because onshore wind is slightly cheaper than offshore wind, according to reports. But the report has warned that the investments are falling short of the 35 gigawatts a year of new wind the EU needs to build to meet its 2030 climate and energy security target. Interestingly, looking at how kind of particular countries performed, 11 countries invested more than 1 billion euros, with UK, funny enough, investing the most, almost all in offshore wind. So definitely consider a trend there for offshore wind in the UK. Followed by Germany, France, Spain, Sweden and Finland, the report has said. Spain invested mostly onshore wind, so it's interesting to see the mix there. Sweden, Finland, Poland and Lithuania all invested more in new farms than they had done in the previous year, so you consider the hotspots there for this year will definitely be Sweden, Finland and Poland, it looks like, and Lithuania. So interesting news coming by way of Europe. Investments are high, but it looks like more needs to be done, and I doubt this probably takes into consideration the current circumstances in Ukraine. So, more investment is definitely needed in Europe to meet these targets. Some other news coming by way of the onshore wind sector, and Greenbacker Renewables Energy buys the first New York wind farm. It has bought over 55 megawatts Howard wind farm in the US state of New York from the BlackRock Global Renewable Power Fund 2 for an undisclosed price. The Howard project, which is located in the Steuben County, is Greenbacker's first wind asset in New York. The wind farm, which achieved commercial operation in the fourth quarter of 2011, generates enough electricity to power approximately 12,000 New York homes a year. Greenbacker Renewable Energy Chief Executive Charles Wheeler recently commented that it's a joy to deliver clean energy close to home. We're very pleased that our successful ongoing collaboration with BlackRock has allowed us to enter the New York wind market with Howard, which is not only our first wind asset in New York, but also the second largest project in our entire wind fleet. So good news there coming by way of the wind market and the United States of America, NYC. Moving on from some wind news to some solar energy news. And Amazon, our great friends Jeff Bezos, have agreed a 450 megawatt purchase in California with AES. Amazon has signed a 2-year power purchase agreement, PPA, with AES Corporation for electricity from its 450 megawatt of solar plus storage facilities in the US state of California. A bit more news about this particular story. AES will deliver renewable energy in the California Independent System Operator market and source it from a combined 450 megawatt of solar and 225 of 4-hour duration battery storage from its portfolio of projects. It was recently commented by the AES president that AES is proud to support Amazon's bold actions to power its business operations, including its AWS data centers with 100% of renewable energy. Together with Amazon, we're showing how customized energy solutions and innovative thinking can help organizations of all kinds to decarbonize their operations on the grid. So some good news there from the solar market, and Amazon very much looking to fulfill its promise to deliver its services with 100% renewable technology. Some more news on the solar side coming by way of closer to home in Europe, and Helios have signed a deal with Commerz Real to provide a turnkey delivery of 2 of the largest utility-scale solar parks in Sweden to date, totaling 70 megawatts. Helios Nordics Energy, in which Magnor has a 40% stake, will deliver the project rights, construction, management and supply, the commercial and technological management services for the developments. In addition, Helios has managed the engineering, procurement and construction (EPC) process and handled the grid connection agreement. The first plant will have an installed capacity of around 21 MP and located in the Västerås municipality. The second part, which is located in the Tier municipality, will start construction later this year. This is of course subject to final building permits and will have an installed capacity of 48 megawatts. So this is some more good news coming by way of the solar market. The project itself is the first of its kind in Sweden and are being built completely without subsidiaries and on a market conditions. So this is really good news, and as commented by Peter Nygren, who is the board member of Helios. Some last and final news from the renewables market, and this time solar again from Spain. Interestingly, Spain produced half of its power from renewables in April. This is according to Renewables Now, in an article last week. Spain generated 50.1% of its electricity from renewable sources in April. Spanish grid operator Red Electrica said in its estimates on reports last Wednesday. The renewable share in Spain's total power production in March was 45.4%. The largest proportion of renewable in Spain's power mix came from the national demand for electricity, fell by 2% on a year-on-year estimated. Wind farms remain the country's top power producer, accounting for 25.8% of the total monthly output. Power production figures are major technologies are presented in the table below for those who are going to be watching online. So some really interesting news coming by way of Spain. More than 50% of its renewable energy, of its power I should say, coming from renewable energy in April. And this was up from the 45% in March. So Spain really is leading the way. That sums up this week's in Renewables, your bite-sized roundup of the renewable stories over the last 7 days. I've been your host, Mr. Deji Ogunshola. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, all the good stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful week, and yeah, keep it clean, keep it green. Take care, bye.